Welcome into Steelers Talk. I'm your host, Jack Sperry, and on tonight's show, the Pittsburgh Steelers just got some great news from the National Football League. Also, the A.J. Brown trade rumors are getting louder in Indianapolis as everybody's at the NFL Combine, and some people are starting to hear A.J. Brown could be dealt elsewhere. Could it be to Pittsburgh? Then we'll get into today's slate of Combine formal meetings that were revealed. Today was quarterbacks and wide receivers, and man, that list is pretty long. So make sure you guys stick around to see which QBs and wide receivers the Steelers were talking to this week in Indy. But before we get into the content today, we are just a couple days away here from the end of the month of February, and right now we are currently in the lead in the AFC North subscriber battle here at Chat Sports, but the Browns report is right around the corner here. They got 1,078 new subscribers. That's great for them. I know Joey O'Donohue, their host today, I heard him in his studio completely say that they need to beat the Steelers this month. They've never beaten us before. We cannot allow them to catch up, guys. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. And then I know Trader Joey, our Ravens host, has been trying to catch up here at the last second as well. We can't let that happen, guys. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. What we provide for you guys here on Steelers Talk is daily Steelers videos, usually 2 of them, but sometimes 3 of them a day. Breaking news coverage every time the con artist makes a big move this offseason. Weekly live shows breaking down the latest surrounding the black and gold, and all that content, guys, it's 100% free. That's why we are the largest individually run Steelers news program anywhere here on the YouTube platform. So if you guys want your daily blast of Steelers news, get it right here from us here at Steelers Talk. All right, so now let's get into the great news that the National Football League provided for the Steelers today, which is that the NFL has informed every single team that the 2026 salary cap will be set at $301.2 million. That's $22 million higher than the 2025 cap number. So, that's going to create some more cap space for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that's going to put their cap number at approximately $66 million heading into the offseason this year, which obviously is a pretty decent amount of money. They can also make some cuts to potentially, get closer to that $100 million mark. You can do some restructures as well if you really want to, of TJ Watt, DK Metcalf, etc., if you want to create even more space. But I think that this is good news for the Pittsburgh Steelers because it provides them even more opportunity to make some much-needed moves to improve this roster this offseason. And one of those potential moves could be a big trade, a blockbuster trade for somebody that I consider a top 5 receiver in football, and that's A.J. Brown. And, during the Combine here in Indianapolis, there's been a lot of whispers about Howie Roseman, the Philadelphia Eagles GM, listening to offers for A.J. Brown, and there's a growing sentiment that Brown will be traded within the next 10 days before the start of NFL free agency. This is what Peter Schrager from ESPN had to say about it this week. He says a lot of conversations are had in hallways and bars and in restaurants, and I'll tell you this, there's a difference in tone from the trade deadline when Howie Roseman said to everybody, absolutely off the table, we're not trading A.J. Brown. Here in Indy, it sounds like, I'll never just say no to listening to offers. Howie Roseman around this time of the year is always listening. Howie is always looking to make a deal. He's the best in the business when it comes to that, but he also likes to add, not subtract. In order to trade A.J. Brown, they would need something back, and also it's a really big financial hit. So essentially they would need to, make it worth their while if they're going to trade A.J. Brown somewhere. But Carlos A. Lopez here, a reporter for the New England Patriots, put this out on his Twitter today, saying the Eagles could potentially make a decision on wide receiver A.J. Brown's future within the next 10 days, per Jeff McLean, who covers the Philadelphia Eagles. McLean notes that it is unlikely Philadelphia accepts anything less than what Seattle received for DK Metcalf, a second-round pick, or what Buffalo received for Stephon Diggs, a second and 5th round picks. So listen, man, if that's the price tag to get somebody that I consider a top 5 receiver in football right now in A.J. Brown, in what the Steelers are considering a win-now season, if you're looking for a guy that's going to move the needle at the wide receiver position, there's no receiver on the market this year, free agency, trade, draft, that is going to do that as much as A.J. Brown. And if that's the price tag, second-round pick, you don't even have to give up your first-round pick to get A.J. Brown in your building, I am in on that trade period, for the Pittsburgh Steelers, guys. And I know AJ has some diva-like qualities and all these different things, but most awesome receivers tend to have those qualities. And, AJ's still 29 years old. He's not even 30 yet. And, he's got incredible strength, man. 6'1", 226, tough physical coverage just does not bother him down the field. He's one of the best contested catch winners in the league, and he's an awesome route runner, and he's great after the catch. He's got it all, man. And because of that, I consider him a truly elite top 5 receiver in the game today, and you just don't see these guys become available very often. And also, he's got 4 years left on his current contract. So if the Steelers trade for him, you get him for almost a half decade at least. By the way, that's the same amount of years that DK Metcalf has left on his deal as well. And this is somebody that has been one of the most productive players in the National Football League for a very, very long time, racking up the yards, racking up the efficiency, racking up the touchdowns, racking up the catches. A.J. Brown is an absolute beast. And with most of these seasons, guys, it's with guys like Ryan Tannehill, Jalen Hurts throwing him the football, guys that are not elite caliber arm talent type of dudes. And despite that, A.J. Brown has been one of the premier producers at the wide receiver position for a very long time and one of the most complete skill sets in this league. And by the way, guys, I know for a fact A.J. Brown would love to play here in Pittsburgh because he was teammates and he is still very close friends with DK Metcalf. And if you guys combine these two dudes in the Steelers offense, this would immediately become at least a top 3, maybe the best wide receiver duo in the National Football League. I mean, most secondaries are just not going to be able to handle the size, the speed, the athleticism that DK and A.J. Brown bring to the table from a week-to-week basis. And, if you're at home saying, but Jack, we can't afford to pay both of these guys massive contracts. Well, the answer to that question is yes, the Steelers actually can. First of all, the Steelers are not really planning on paying their quarterback all that much. Aaron Rodgers is their plan A right now, and it does sound like he will return. I expect his contract to be somewhere between $10 and $15 million against the cap on a 1-year deal. That's nothing for quarterback money, okay? And the Steelers, as we just discussed, have quite a bit of cap space. But even, even then, you look at A.J. Brown's cap hits, and because he's got so much money invested in the void years that kick in at 2030 at the end of his contract, his playing contract, you got all these years of pretty affordable cap hits on A.J. Brown, which is why I've said in the past, if the Steelers are truly wanting to go all in on this Super Bowl window with Aaron Rodgers or whatever, and they're truly trying to make that Seattle Seahawks jump from 10-7 to a Super Bowl championship, this is the type of move where you go out and do that because it's a superstar level player that's not taking up a ton of your cap. Sure, you're spending a lot of money, but it's not costing your cap all that much, just about a $15 million cap hit in 2026 to bring in arguably a top 5 receiver in the sport of football right now. Now, in terms of what the Eagles would want, they are looking for an edge rusher, so I do think that the Steelers would probably be willing to give up Nick Herbig. Now, we've talked about the Herbig and the situation here, ad nauseum, where I don't think the Steelers are going to trade TJ Watt or Alex Highsmith. I think Nick Herbig wants to get paid and wants to be a full-time starter, so something has to give there. And I've also said if the Steelers are going to trade Herbig, I would want to get a receiver in return in the trade so that we can at least, swap him out to, make one of our biggest weaknesses a strength, and that would certainly be the case here. I would offer a second-round pick in Nick Herbig. I think this is more than fair for somebody that is a top 5 receiver in the game today, and I think that it makes the Steelers better moving forward. But let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. Would you accept this trade? Type A for accept or D for decline. I think that this is a pretty fair deal for both sides here, guys. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments for today's pinned question. Just a second here, I'm going to tell you about our sponsor today at Rag & Bone. While I tell you about our sponsor today, give me an A for accept or D for decline. You guys might have noticed that I've been wearing this denim shirt in our videos all week long, and this shirt is from our brand new sponsor here on Steelers Talk, Rag & Bone. And guys, Rag & Bone Infused Denim offers a range of fits tailored for any style and occasion, from slim and straight to athletic and relaxed. Infused Denim is a wardrobe staple that pairs perfectly with any outfit and whatever fit that you prefer. For a limited time only, our listeners get 20% off their entire order with code CHAD at rag-bone.com. I was completely blown blown away the first time I tried on my Rag & Bone shirt and jeans because of how broken in they felt right away and how high quality the materials were. I used to have to choose between jeans that looked great and ones that actually lasted, but with Rag & Bone, I finally get the best of both worlds. Rag & Bone infused denim is crafted with a proprietary 8-step over-dye process. It gives each piece a rich dimensional color that gets better with every wash, and not only do they look great, but Rag & Bone makes jeans that are built to last, that actually get more comfortable the more that you wear them. It's time to upgrade your denim with Rag & Bone today. For a limited time only, our listeners get 20% off their entire order with code CHAT at rag-bone.com. That's 20% off at rag-bone.com with promo code CHAT. When they ask where you heard about them, please support our show and tell them that we sent you. And a big thank you to Rag & Bone for sponsoring today's edition of Steelers Talk. Today at the NFL Combine in Indianapolis, it was the QB and wide receivers' turn to speak to the media at the podium, and we got confirmation from a lot of these guys as to which guys had formal Combine meetings with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Let's start with the quarterback situation here, where these are the 4 confirmed formal interviews that the Pittsburgh Steelers had with the QBs, and Ty Simpson from Alabama, of course, is one, Drew Aller from Penn State, Garrett Nussmeier from LSU, and Carson Beck from Miami. Now, if the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to go round 1 for quarterback guys, it's likely going to be for Simpson. Of course, Fernando Mendoza is going to go number 1 to the Raiders. And right now, the only guy that's really considered somebody that could go in round 1 is Simpson there for the Alabama Crimson Tide. This is what Simpson had to say on why he decided to come out in this year's NFL draft class instead of staying in school. He says, first off, I feel like I'm ready. I'm a franchise QB. Alabama prepares you the most to play in the NFL with the infrastructure that they had and the guidance from Coach Saban to Coach DeBoer, to Coach Grubb, and all the coordinators that I had before them. I've run an NFL-type system. It's definitely prepared me for saying those long play calls, saying those checks, making sure I get us in the right protection. Everyone always talks about my lack of starts, but I've played in other games besides that, and I've played against really good NFL players. I think about my freshman year learning from the number 1 overall pick and Heisman Trophy winner in Bryce Young, going on defense and going on scout team. I had to play against Will Anderson, Dallas Turner, Henry To'oTo'o. I got Kool-Aid McKinstry on one side, and I got Terrion Arnold on the other side. There's a number of first and second round draft picks that I went against, and I was in the locker room with. So like I said, the Alabama locker room is as close to a locker room in the NFL as you can get. And I really like that answer from Ty Simpson, kind of turning it on its head there with him not having that many starts, saying, but I was practicing against some of these awesome players, and that's why I had so much success when I was healthy back this past season at Alabama. Of course, he had that downward trend towards the end of the season, but the injuries that he had to deal with towards the end there are well documented. And the best thing I can tell you guys is go watch that first game against Georgia and then go watch that second game. It's like a completely different person. Apparently, with how sick he was at the end of the year, he dropped down to like 195 because he could only eat like chicken noodle soup, where right now he's 215. So, I could certainly understand why he had maybe a little bit of a decline in play, but I do think that he has the most experience running an NFL-style system in this class, including Fernando Mendoza, and he's a great processor. Like, if you just count the number of high-quality NFL-type throws on Ty Simpson's film from Alabama this year, it's more than any other prospect in the National Football League draft this year, in my opinion, and that includes Mendoza, who ran a very college-esque offense. I think Mendoza's a better prospect than Simpson, but Simpson's certainly proven that he can operate this NFL-style offense, and because of that, I think he might be considered maybe the most quote-unquote pro-ready QB in this class. This is what Simpson had to say about his meeting with the Pittsburgh Steelers and Mike McCarthy.
It was just, just 2 guys working ball, right? Like, it was cool to just, see us, talk about footwork, right? Like, talk about, 4 verts, talk about situational football in 2 minute, like, bringing up scenarios that he's had in his career to where they're crucial. Like, what would you do in that situation, right? So, whether I got the question right or wrong, it was still cool to realize, like, hey, this is what had happened. This is what the answer I was looking for. This is why. And we would just, bounce ideas back and forth to each other. Like, a guy like that who, has had success in the league for a long time and is well respected. Anytime that I get to sit in an interview and, talk to him and just, soak up all that knowledge is anything I could ask for.
Now, the thing about Simpson, I think Mike McCarthy is just going to absolutely fall in love with is his processing speed, like his ability to go from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to check down, go full field progression read, operate an offense like an NFL starting quarterback, set protections, get people in motion, get people lined up correctly. Simpson does all that stuff at a really high level, and he executes the offense, at least when he was healthy, pretty darn well. And, I think that the accuracy dropped off quite a bit after he got injured. Kind of understandably, I would say, but he was a pretty darn accurate quarterback when he was fully healthy during the season. I do think that I have some worries about him being able to handle a 17-game schedule, especially, at 205 pounds or whatever he was listed at Alabama. He claims he's 215 pounds now, but I would say the downside to Simpson is he really an AFC North QB? This is something that Omar Khan said that he's looking for in the next franchise quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers. This is what Omar had to say about that.
Yeah, so there's several traits, but I'll say we have to find the right quarterback that's going to be an AFC North quarterback. Playing in the AFC North, there's nothing like it. The cold weather, the rivalries, the division, the physicality of the division. So it's got to be a AFC North quarterback.
And what Omar means by that AFC North quarterback is probably somebody with a bigger stature, a big arm to throw it through the conditions, to grip the football, with a wet football, all those different things. I'm not sure Ty Simpson is necessarily the prototypical guy that you think of when it comes to playing in the AFC North, and that might hurt his chances of being taken round 1 by the Pittsburgh Steelers. But then if they decide to go day 2, let's say somebody else takes Simpson or the Steelers decide to go wide receiver in round 1, if they go quarterback on day 2, I think it'll be likely one of the other 3 guys, the guys that they talked to: Drew Aller, Garrett Nussmeier, and then Carson Beck from Miami. And I really think Nussmeier and Aller are probably the 2 guys that they would hone in on. Aller, because he is that AFC North type quarterback, that big body. It's got a little bit of nice playmaking instincts to him. He's got a super strong arm. Obviously, played in Pennsylvania conditions his college career, so I could see them taking Aller on day 2, probably in round 3. But I could also see them taking Garrett Nussmeier from LSU. Garrett's dad, Doug, currently the offensive coordinator of the New Orleans Saints, coach quarterbacks under Mike McCarthy in Dallas. So certainly Nussmeier already has an established relationship with Mike McCarthy. He knows that as a coach's son, he can process information quickly and all those different things. And Nussmeier's another guy that dealt with a lot of injuries during the 2025 college football season as well. So that's something to keep in mind with Nussmeier, who actually looked pretty good in his 2024 film. But let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section. Who's your day 2 QB? Between these 3 guys that the Steelers talked to, which one would you like to see the Steelers bring in? Type DA for Drew Aller, GN for Garrett Nussmeier, CB for Carson Beck. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. For me, I think my favorite out of this group would actually probably be Drew Aller. I think, give him a year behind Aaron Rodgers, and I think that you could fix a lot of the main issues that he had in his college film. And I think that, with his arm strength, his size, I think that he's somebody that could definitely play in the AFC North for a long time. Now, let's talk about the wide receivers here, where the Pittsburgh Steelers used at least 14 of their 45 formal interviews in Indianapolis this week on wide receivers. So this is clearly a position that the Steelers are honing in on, specifically in the early rounds, because the guys that they talk to, man, they're the top guys in the class, like Carnell Tate, Jordan Tyson, Mekhi Lemon, Denzel Boston, Casey Concepcion, who apparently they love, Omar Cooper Jr. from Indiana, who is rising up draft boards right now. Malachi Fields, Zachariah Branch, all these guys are expected to go in the first 2 rounds of the NFL draft. So clearly the Pittsburgh Steelers are looking at the top flight talent, but along with those guys, you still got Elijah Surratt and Jeremy Bernard. These guys could go on day 2. Antonio Williams might go round 3. Same thing goes for Ted Hurst, and then Dejon Stribling, and then Caden Weegan is more day 3 guys right now, according to the consensus big board. But those guys are also very talented. So it certainly seems like Omar Khan, Mike McCarthy, they have identified wide receiver as a position that they got to get better in, and they're definitely spending a lot of time getting to know these wide receiver prospects heading into this process. So who's your guy? Let me know down there in the comment section. Who do you want the Steelers to draft at wide receiver this year? Are you a Jordan Tyson guy? Are you a Mekhi Lemon guy? Do you want to pair Will Howard back up with Carnell Tate? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section to finish up today's show. And that'll be it for today's edition of Steelers News and Rumors from the NFL Combine. Really do appreciate all of your guys' support. We're going to continue to get you guys the very latest from Indianapolis this week. I'll probably have some at-home videos for you guys as the quarterbacks throw tomorrow and all those different stuff. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button if you haven't already. Until next time, guys, here we go, Steelers.